Welcome back to YellowCard Vanguard. I'm your host, Toku from It's Toku TV on Twitch. Throughout the week, I'm streaming Vanguard on my Twitch channel. We'll be building decks, playtesting, and just having a grand old time, so be sure to swing on by. With new clan collection reveals coming out every day, you know what that means. It's time for a new chapter of clan collection cores. I want to preface this video and the entirety of the series by saying that many of these lists are entirely conceptual and surface deep, and will need your own playtesting to fine-tune. But each of these will aim to provide a way of thinking on how to take your new support in Clan Collection 3 and 4 and put it into a working deck. They won't all be optimized, but I believe they will be a good baseline to build off of. Welcome to Clan Collection Cores. Dipping into the other half of the ninja clans of Dragon Empire, we take a look at Nubatama, and this clan collection gave support to the Magatsu archetype, with Magatsu Storm Reverse. Let's see if Magatsu Storm Reverse is able to knock the wind out of our opponent. The new grade 3 is Magatsu Storm Reverse, obviously. When placed on the rearguard circle by your Magatsu named Vanguard's ability, lock all your non-Magatsu named rearguards, and this turn, all of your units gain 5k. Then, if your opponent's Vanguard is grade 3 or greater, you can pay the cost to card blast 1 and discard 2 to have Magatsu Reverse perform drive checks for its battle. Then, during your opponent's turn, when Magatsu Reverse is retired from the rear circle, you can Soul Blast 1 to return Magatsu Reverse back to hand and your opponent discards 1. Talk about a 2-for-1 with that second effect. Let's break this card down to its basic molecules. It is unfortunately incredibly specific into which deck it can go into, and that is Magatsu Tribal. You're very focused on the Magatsu multi-attack strategy to bounce your rearguards and use Magatsu Storm skill to recall your hand, and Magatsu Reverse's introduction makes this strategy much more potent, so kudos to that. Its second skill also makes it a very big nuisance. Regardless if you're to retire it with an ability, attack into it, or let Magatsu Storm resolve its effect and retire Magatsu Reverse, it'll always go off. The new grade 2 is Stealth Dragon Royal Nova. When placed on the Vanguard circle or the rearguard circle, check the top 2 of your deck for up to 1 Magatsu named card and add it to your hand, and put the rest on the bottom. Then, on the rearguard circle, when it attacks, you can have it gain 6k, and if so, at the end of the turn, it goes to the bottom of the deck. So, in a vacuum, Royal Nova is a pretty so-so card, but it is support for the Magatsu archetype nonetheless. Looking only at 2 cards isn't exactly what I'd call likely, but sometimes maybe accidental +1 to hand is never bad. Its second skill is where it's at. Being able to attack for 15k and then get boosted to 23k makes magic numbers, but the effect into bottom deck itself is fake. With the amount of self-bounce found in Magatsu's archetype, you can keep churning out this 15 attacker turn after turn after turn, and maybe even get some free +1s off of it too. Nice! Finally, the new grade 1 is Stealth Dragon Unmen. When rolled upon, you can Soul Blast 1 and reveal a grade 3 normal unit from your hand to search your deck for a different named grade 3 card and add it to hand. Then, tuck 1 card from hand to the bottom of your deck. And on the rearguard circle, after the battle that had boosted a rearguard, you can push that boosted unit to soul to bounce 2 of your rearguards back to hand. This card is so cool. Aside from being able to hand fix for your proper grade 3 ride, Unmen can also find your niche grade 3 finisher options if you choose to run them, such as Mizukaze or Kokushigarasu. Unmen can also find Heal Guardians too, holy shit! And his second skill as well is very strong. Playing towards the Magatsu Storm condition of bouncing your own rearguards to get more attacks, has very cool applications in what cards you can push into soul, and can make late game payoffs that require a grade 3 into soul come a turn earlier. Which, if you're looking at the list right now, can probably tell what our gimmick. That being said, let's go ahead and focus more on the list now, and what the deck strategy and winning turn would look like. We look to be on Magatsu Storm and attack 5 times. Firstly, with our 2 rearguard columns and between our expansive pool of self-bounce, be able to use Magatsu Storm skill to reset our board from hand. Ideally, 2 Magatsu Reverses and another card we want. The best being Magatsu Breath, to be able to boost for 21 to 26k thanks to Reverse's 5k buffs. Then we'll perform 6 drive checks, 2 from our Magatsu Storm and 2 from each of our Magatsu Reverses, and hopefully with that onslaught of attacks are able to close out games. If not, we can get a free Perfect Guard with Storm skill to retire our 2 Reverses, have them bounce back to our hand, and also snipe some cards out of our opponent. So with that summarized, let's take a look at our winning pieces. 4 copies of Magatsu Storm. our boss unit that we want to be on the majority of the time, being able to enable our Magatsu reverses both on our turn and off our turn. Speaking of, we're also going to be running 4 copies of Magatsu Reverse, our best rearguard attacker that we look to call off of Magatsu Storm's ability. Then, we also want to pay respect to Magatsu Storm's costs and requirements, and that is to be able to Soul Blast at grade 3 and see our rearguards get bounced. That is why we are going to run 4 copies of Stealth Dragon Unmen. Outside of being able to tutor for whichever grade 3 name we need in our hand on ride, Unmen can also boost a grade 3 unit to push it into Soul for Storm's cost, as well as to proc the bounce skill. Of similar use case, we have a now released promo in Stealth Beast Jado Neko. While in Soul, if our Vanguard is Magatsu named, Jado Neko counts as a grade 3 in Soul. Bonus! And just like Unmen, Jado Neko does double duty with its second skill. At the end of the battle that it boosted, if our Vanguard is a Magatsu, we can push it to Soul to bounce any of our normal units back to our hand. If it wasn't obvious enough, Jado Neko being a 1-card engine from Magatsu Storm is insane and long overdue. The ability to also bounce all of our normal units should we wish is really good in conjunction with Magatsu Storm, so we don't have to overcall to guarantee maximum attacks. And yes, Magatsu Breath does it too, but he sucks at it. Magatsu Breath is only run at 2 in our list as a last-ditch effort to get bounces off, but more so, because it's a Magatsu name, we can slam in the back row off of Storm's skill to act as a booster. Now, it is a very good booster because of that incidental 3k buff. This helps our grade 3 attackers reach that X3k power, which is magic numbers against force decks. Now with our winning pieces out of the way, we can look towards consistency and techs. Let's look at our grade 2 lineup first. We're only running 8 grade 2s, and that's because Nubatama grade 2s outside of Magatsu Gale blow. Get it? Blow. Like the wind. Okay, I'll shut up. So we're running 4 copies of Magatsu Gale to start off. Just a strong unit being able to replace itself, but similar to Royal Nova, attacks for 15k base, and also helps the Magatsu game plan of being able to bounce our own rearguards back to hand. And our other grade 2 that we run is Royal Nova. Between our grade 1, grade 2, and grade 3s, we run 14 different Magatsu names. With so many Magatsu names, it might make it more likely to hit at least. For our resource management, we're going to run 3 copies of Stealth Rogue of the Night Sakura Fubuki. An amazing card for the clan, and gets many uses out of just 1 copy. Something simple as ride a grade 2, call Magatsu Gale and draw a card, then slap down Sakura Fubuki and attack 3 times, use Gale to bounce Sakura Fubuki back to hand, and we just got to attack our opponent 3 times for no real commitment at all. Now, finally, we can address the elephant in the room. What the hell is Shura Stealth Dragon Jamyo Congo doing in this list? This might be a little copium on our end of things, but I find that when going first, riding Jamyo and using Unmen to push a grade 3 into Soul is whack. Like, crazy good kind of whack. Not only does this mean that our opponent starts their turn at 4 cards in hand, draw to 5, ride back down to 4, no matter how much hand they farm back up, Jamyo will just deplete it again going back into our turn, where we look then to re-ride into Magatsu Storm and hit our opponents with multi-attacks. You know what 4 cards in hand can't guard? Yeah, 5 attacks. And with 3 of them having drive checks? Yeah. Less good going second, since our opponent probably would have farmed up a nice healthy grip on their first grade 3 turn already, but works as discard fodder for Magatsu Reverse or Sakura Fubuki. And if we need something to kill for Magatsu Storm's effect to not be hit, what better way to turn a 0 shield unit into a perfect guard? Finally, let's go into the trigger lineup. 12 criticals and 4 heals. Magatsu being a protect deck, we'll have our perfect guards on lock, as well as Magatsu having that first skill of his too. And because we're doing upwards of 6 drive checks in a turn, what better way to make your next unit that much more threatening than giving them some yellow stars? Then the 4 heal guardians, most notably grade 3, so that we have 4 more extra cards not named Magatsu that we could call down and suck into Soul via Unmen for our Jamyo turn. Now, how else could you take this deck? The obvious method is to look away from Jamyo Congo and maybe appreciate that between Unmen and Jado Neko, we can also still use Magatsu Storm on our first grade 3 ride. We can look towards the aforementioned auxiliary supporting rearguards, such as Kokushi Garasu for that huge field bomb and hand rip. And also, Stealth Rogue of Prescription, Mizukaze in particular, is one to definitely consider, for its ability to lock your opponent to only guarding with a certain grade once per turn. You know what a grade 0, a grade 1, a grade 2, and a grade 3 can guard? Yeah, 5 attacks. Then we can also bolster up our grade 1 and grade 2 line as well. We could consider maxing out on Magatsu Breath, shitty card as it is, but respecting the fact that Royal Nova can sometimes just happen to pick up a 10k shield on play. We can also look towards Stealth Dragon Daidoku, a grade 2 that plays well into Magatsu Storm's effect to retire our rearguards and not get hit. But Daidoku also having a similar effect to Magatsu Reverse to refund itself in a way when killed off for Magatsu Storm. Furthermore, if you're a fellow Jamyo believer, you can also consider running copies of Stealth Beast Yumadao. You know what's harder than guarding 5 attacks with only 4 hand? Guarding 5 attacks with only 3. So in conclusion, what do I think about Magatsu Reverse and Friends? Fantastic support. Definitely a push in the right direction for the Magatsu archetype. However, it is unfortunate that it is very specific to just the Magatsu archetype and doesn't really help the identity of the clan as a whole. That being said, I think Magatsu is going to be a sick deck. It has strong plays going first and strong plays in the late game and actually has access to countercharge. I'd keep an eye on this one. In any case, this has been it from me on this episode of Clan Collection Cores. Be sure to subscribe to the channel for more content like this. Like the video, as it helps motivate us to keep the gears going, and leave a comment down below because every little bit helps the channel. This has been Toku from the YellowCard Vanguard channel. Toku out.